Historically, and as a matter of circumstance, skateboarders have always been outlaws, trespassing onto private property or sneaking into backyards that hide abandoned or empty swimming pools in search of a place to ride. The evolution of street skating only added to this. All of a sudden, inanimate objects became canvases for environmental artists on four wheels, and anything was possible. Skateboarding thrived. All one needed was an imagination to find a place to ride. But the backlash to this revolutionary thinking was severe. Communities rallied against skateboarders, making no effort at all to understand or appreciate them. Today, although many communities are starting to recognize the need to facilitate skateboarders, a majority of them continue to try to wish or will skateboarding away. A skateboarder on the streets is still public enemy number one, and so good kids who want nothing more than to pursue their passion are deemed bad and find themselves in trouble with the law. These are kids we're talking about. To ignore them, to outlaw them is a crime. Our youth and their interests need to be nurtured. Skateboarders everywhere deserve a place to ride.
What's the history of this place?
It started like 4 years ago. I called like 25, 30 kids, and we just cleaned a bunch of places like community service.
Okay.
Because everybody thought we were like druggies and hoodlums and stuff. And
so you proved them wrong. You went out in the community and did some work.
And this was all like 10-year-old asphalt. It was
really?
A basketball court. Nobody used it because the asphalt was so bad. They're like, oh, you guys can skate up here. And so we started building ramps. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they paved it for us. And
this is good cement.
yeah, we liked
that's
a lot.
good.
It was like $20,000.
Wow. So the city raised the money for that?
Oh yeah, they used some leftover money for that. And then we got like $2,000 in our skatepark association account, so, and we used that to build our own ramps.
I liked you guys got because it's just so random, you know? It's just kind of like pieced together. And that kind of feels, I don't know, it kind of feels good to skate something like that. It's not so laid out for you.
Yeah,
you gotta use your imagination a little bit more, you know? Why are there so many parks popping up in Nebraska and other like bigger communities are unable to get skate parks? What's happening in your guys' city that they're allowing this to even occur?
Well, most of the small towns aren't really getting any funding. They're just opening themselves. But
still, someone's giving you an area.
yeah.
A lot of it's more complaints from a personal basis, like the community. Like this community is made up of more elderly people.
So
than
this
complain
small
about it.
community, there's people complaining about kids riding down the street.
Yeah.
And,
And you know, they'll
So-
call them hoodlums and say they do drugs and stuff. So
which you sometimes I think you take good kids, you start calling them bad kids, they become bad kids. You know, I've seen that happen 100 times over.
I think a lot of it is too the organization. You can organize some skaters to do work in a smaller community, maybe easier.
So you reckon skaters are more proactive than your regular bunch of kids?
Athlete, yeah.
As far as getting involved and trying to do something for themselves?
Yeah, like,
well, you don't see an athlete, a football player, going and building a football stadium. You know? You see a bunch of skaters going to put together a skate park. It's kind of a different story.
I agree. I think that's a very that's very poignant. Very true. To me, it's like the backstory on how a skate park even exists in the first place is so interesting because, you know, I come from, you know, an era when I started skating where we just felt so forgotten and rejected and not cared about. Even with our parents, just the fact that we got on skateboards, you know. There was no way we even imagined our community would do anything to embrace what we were doing. Not that you guys have been embraced, you know. I mean, I know the headache that you've gone through just to get this, but still, it's here, you know. It's here. That's to me, that's something, you know. And it's encouraging for me, not because the city's facilitating, but because skaters like yourselves are actually making them facilitate you, you know. And someone had to fight for that. And the fact that you guys are willing to stand up and fight that's good. It's good for skateboarding, and it probably goes unnoticed in the big picture. But you know, the next generation of skaters in this town, they're gonna be thankful. You get in this?
You just press this one in here.
Yeah.
Dude,
I see you might want to get a little closer.
He won't hit us.
The key, you want to try and take it when I'm right here, right in the middle, in the air. Right. It's all feel, you got to feel it out.
Please closer.
Yeah!
Woo!
Stay down, we're not done, we're not done.
One more time, please.
Yeah, oh, we'll do it until you get
Go
it.
on.
Wow, look at that, the local newspaper came out for you guys.
nice talking to you.
Yeah.
When a young skater has a positive experience in dealing with his or her local government, it leaves a lasting impression.
You guys.
These are kids who grow up with faith in their government and its systems. Empowering and facilitating kids to effect change should always be encouraged. Skateboarding in the small beach community of Marathon, Florida has prospered thanks to the efforts of a group of dedicated skaters and their parents. Outlawed almost to the point of extinction, they have overcome many obstacles to get a skate park built.
Back in about 93, I guess, there was a private park here, and kids couldn't afford to come to it, and so a lot of kids donated their time to be able to come and use it. And the owner really couldn't afford to keep it open. And then the hurricane hit in '96 and wiped out most of the park. And the elements were just left here, and a lot of kids were coming in and they were getting hurt, and they were sneaking in and they were being chased out by the police and by the owner. and getting into a lot of trouble. There was a lot of drinking and stuff going on under the ramps, and people were it was just sitting here. So one of the skaters came to me one day, knowing that I was involved in the school and a lot of projects in the community, and he said that he was told that if he came to me with his 400 signatures that he got from businesses that he went around to, that he was sure I could make this park reopen. And I thought, how hard could this be? It's half there. We just go, we talk to people, we have this park built, and that's the end of it. And that was the beginning for me to learn what all of you have faced for so long, and what the skaters out there have faced was the adversity and the difficulty to actually tackle this. At the time, I had just gone back to school and to get my master's, and I was debating on in social psychology what did I want to study. And then it dawned on me what I wanted to study was right before me. It was the amazing thing of the loss that I was experiencing watching these kids, seeing kids go out and do drugs, seeing kids commit suicide, seeing kids get into trouble who didn't have this place to be. And you know, from there it was like, okay, well, we're going to commit to this, we're going to make it happen. So we raised the money and we paid for the materials, and we got all these people to lend us tools, and we bring them back to them with like no handles, you know, or with the wooden tools are just not making it on these metal ramps. And we were under pressure. The city said, guys, the ramps have been delivered, and either they go in soon, you have this ready to go, or we store them until the park's ready. So we had 2 weekends left to finish the park. And at that, I was here in the morning, I was standing where the pyramid is now, and I was screaming at God that I quit. I was throwing down my few wooden tools I had, and I said, that's it, this isn't fun anymore. Obviously you don't want it to happen, it's not gonna happen, this was a lousy joke, and now I'm tired. She said, you're yelling at God, stop, we're gonna get in trouble. And with that, 2 guys over at the fence yelled over and said, can I help you ladies? And we said, unless you have instruments and tools and power tools and stuff to help us, you can't help us. The guy said, well, I don't have any power tools, but I have the biggest bulldozer that you've ever seen in your life. It was successful because everybody that came to this park sensed that they were doing something of importance. The captain of the police department wrote a 2-page letter on our behalf that we sent to the Hawk Foundation, and he got up in front of the city council and said, crime in this area since this park has been in, juvenile crime is down.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, because as you know, a lot of these kids are not the football jocks, or they're not the basketball champs or whatever, and you know, they find a niche here. And we have people tell us all the time that, you know, they show up for school now because they know they can't go to the park if they don't go to school. They show, I mean, they've tried everything else and nothing else worked. You know, you're grounded, you're this, you're that. The only thing that seems to have worked was the skate park.
The process of getting a skate park built starts with a few proactive individuals willing to rally around a cause and lobby the local police force, business owners, city council members, and other concerned citizens for their support. Skaters tend to be more passionate than most about fighting for their cause, because skating in the first place takes so much passion and dedication. Once you've hucked your body down a flight of stairs, or gone through the process of learning to ollie, or drop in on a ramp, you have a different perspective. You're a skater, and obstacles are there to be conquered. We still have a long way to go, but someday, skate parks will be a staple in every town, the way baseball fields or basketball courts are. The Tony Hawk Foundation was established for this reason, to promote and provide funds for public skate parks in communities all across the country.
It's nice, to see some of these opening ceremonies, once in a while where these kids they're not just showing up at some new place, that they get to go to. It's something that they had a hand in doing. And
right.
you can see
Executive
that.
Director of the foundation, Miki Vuckovich, is at the forefront of working with local communities and city governments to build well-designed, high-quality skate parks.
It's so inspiring to hear these stories, to go from city to city, park to park, whether it's a good park or a bad park, whatever the situation is, whatever the environment is. It seems like everywhere I go, I run into a few kids that made a big difference in their community, and now that they have the fruits of their labor, they have a skate park.
Yeah. Every time you go to a different town and you see a public skateboard park, you can bet that the city council didn't just decide, oh, let's build a park. That'll be a good thing to have in the community. Some kid came up with the idea, got his friends together, got their parents together, and fought for this.
Yeah.
And that park is there because these kids made it happen.
Right. These are kids that have fallen in love with skateboarding, and are really hurt by what happens when you fall in love with skateboarding and then you go out in your community and you try and ride a skateboard.
Yeah.
And instead of having a negative reaction to that and internalizing it all and just letting it build up inside them, they become proactive.
Mm-hmm. The process of it changes these kids who are involved, and for the better. I mean, they learn things they wouldn't have learned otherwise, and it certainly will help them later on in life, and maybe those are the kids who will grow up to become the mayors and council members and senators and presidents, because they've learned certain leadership skills in doing this one thing as a youth. And so, who knows? I mean, that's speculative, but it's hopeful.
Most cities I go to, the first thing a kid will say about his park is, it sucks, it's not much, but, I go, well, yeah, but you got it. That's I try and reinforce the positives, but a lot of kids are, feeling like they should have something more, something better, and it just seems like a source of frustration for a lot of skaters.
The problem is the cities just don't have the experience of putting in skate parks. They don't know where to start. In fact, Tony, experienced a lot of the same things you did, skating a lot of these different parks in different cities where, all this effort had gone into building them, but they were just completely flawed. And, finally, 2 years ago, he decided he wanted to do something about it, so he established the Tony Hawk Foundation. And, the goal of that was to help, low-income communities, build and develop quality skate parks, with an emphasis on the word quality. And there's a sort of a two-prong approach to it. One is to, we raise money to try and help partially fund some of these parks. And the other more important side of it is the information that we offer and the guidance, and giving people a sort of step-by-step blueprint of what they need to do and what they should look out for and what they shouldn't do, most importantly. And one of the things that they shouldn't do is they definitely shouldn't hire somebody who's never built a skate park before and doesn't know how to do it.
I grew up skating in the streets, and I'd say that's still the skating that I most relate to as far as approach, just the way I approach my skating as a mindset. But I feel now like I'm too old to be out in the streets and be yelled at and harassed and have the cops chase me down. It's just like, it becomes a real hassle, especially at this advanced age. So when I come into a skate park, and if it's a good park, yeah, man, I'm just beside myself, just so happy to have a place to ride that I don't have to worry about all those hassles, where I can do my thing, I can still be creative, I can still express myself, I can attack the place and not have to worry about someone coming down and putting me in handcuffs for riding my skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, other grown-ups have the softball diamond. They go on weekends and hang out with their buddies and play, and that's cool. And there's no reason why we shouldn't have our little skate park to go to and enjoy ourselves and have essentially that type of experience, just but on our own terms. I mean, we're not a specialist, we're not a specialized, special interest group. We are a population. We have significant numbers. We have a need, and we should have a proportionate amount of city resources and public resources allocated to what we need.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, anywhere they're going to build a school or build a patch of grass for the community, they're going to put a baseball diamond and a backstop in it. And you know, it may be that we're, you know, at some point in the future, going to see that with skateboarding.
Skateboarding is an activity that is here to stay, and like other traditional sports that have come before, it is time for all communities to facilitate skaters in the public sector. In the meantime, we need to make the best of the hand that we are dealt.
Must you go down the stream, floating on the top is better, and you feel just what you are talking about is pure. What you're talking about is pure. What you're talking about is pure. What you're talking about must be the dream beyond words. Gives way instead. So you'll know just what you are. What you're talking about is pure. What you're talking about is pure. What you're talking about is pure. And what you're hang the sun every day to let you down. We'll hang the sun every day to let you down.
The spirit of skateboarding can never be outlawed. Even in what might seem like the bleakest of conditions, skateboarding can and will thrive, because we will always pursue our skating with all of our being and soul. We all need and deserve a place to ride, but in the end, you can skateboard anywhere.
What you are talking about is pure. What you're talking about is pure. What you're